Hi there, Meredith here. Today, I wanted to just share a quick recording about how to handle absorbing other people's emotions and feelings. So if you find yourself constantly and unintentionally absorbing other people's feelings, you are definitely not alone. Now, for some people, it shows up as confusing or surprising or unwanted emotions when in interaction with another person. For others of us, it shows up as physical symptoms. Others might notice a more sort of cognitive, just knowing about what's going on for another person, or maybe you have some combination of all of those. It is extremely confusing to go through life doing this unconsciously all the time, absorbing and reading all of the feelings, the needs, information about everyone around you. Doing this makes it nearly impossible to ever rest, to find clarity, to feel confident in your own identity, and to sustain relationships without getting drained. I know this because I have absolutely been there myself, and I work with a lot of clients who are struggling with this exact same dynamic. For right now, I'm going to skip over the why and the how behind this trait of overactive empathy, although it is absolutely fascinating and something we can certainly explore together if you're interested. The briefest context I can provide here, just to make this exercise make a little bit more sense, is that there is a very real emotional, energetic field in any interaction that you're having with another person. These are actually physically measurable and detectable vibrations, essentially, is what it boils down to. The idea of, good vibes only, the vibes thing is a literal, physically measurable phenomenon. So with that context, we want to ground this that this is a very real, tangible experience that you're having. And so the process and the questions I'm going to guide you through is to help you start to clearly identify what out of that field that you're absorbing is actually yours, and what you can do to sort of choose, make it a little bit more conscious and intentional, what you are actually deciding to take in and absorb or not. Maybe it doesn't belong to you or it's not constructive. So with that context, I'm going to jump straight into how you can start to address this phenomenon as it's happening, when you feel yourself starting to absorb other people's stuff. So I'm going to share a list of reflection questions, and these questions I want you to practice asking yourself regularly, ideally in the moment as it's happening. If you miss that, it kind of sideswipes you and you forget. Doing it after the fact is great as well. And you can write down your answers or just think through them in your head. The important thing is just that you start bringing more awareness, more intentionality, and consent to this emotional absorption process that so far for you has probably been mostly passive, unconscious, and not consensual. This is the exact same super, super simple process that I have used for years to get this tendency in check in myself. So here are the questions. I encourage you to write these down as we go through. Question number 1, what am I feeling right now? And you want to get as detailed, as granular, as specific as you possibly can. Okay. Try to go beneath, high level headline emotions like sad or scared or anxious are a great starting point, but try to get even more granular underneath that. Question number 2, where am I feeling it? So typically these will show up in a certain place in your body, and identifying that just adds to the specificity. Question 3, when did I start feeling this? This is really powerful because a lot of times we won't even realize, like, oh, as soon as this person walked into the room, I started feeling a certain way, or as soon as a certain topic was brought up, or as soon as we were in a certain physical context. So that can start to be a really good clue for you of what's really going on. Question 4, this is where it starts to get a little bit deeper. Question 4 is, whose feeling is this? So coming back to that idea of our sort of emotional, energetic field that we're in all of the time, every participant in an interaction is sort of pumping their own information, their own feelings into that shared field. So it's quite possible and quite likely that you are picking up on some things that belong to other people. So we need to start to interrogate that process, be a little bit more discerning with it, and asking, who does this actually belong to? You know, this anxiety that's in my chest since so-and-so walked into the room, right? Whose is it? Now, maybe yours, right? This isn't about sort of blaming everyone else for our uncomfortable feelings. Some of the stuff is going to be ours. So the answer might be, oh, this is my anxiety, right? Or this is my fear or my elation. But just ask the question and it'll be really interesting to see what comes up. You want to trust your intuitive answers in this process. This is not a rational, logical thing. So just whatever starts to come up intuitively, roll with that answer. Okay, the next question, what is this really about? Now, this can require a little bit more time and space to really explore, but we want to apply some gentle curiosity here, whether it's our stuff. Well, if it is our stuff, we'll probably be able to get to a deeper answer on this. If it's somebody else's stuff, we may not totally know what it's about. But starting to do a little bit of that investigation work, again, trusting your intuitive answers, can yield some very fascinating insights. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, our next couple of questions are around, how is this serving me or not serving me? So if you think about this feeling, hopefully you've kind of identified who it belongs to, what's going on there, where it is in your body, etc. Now for that feeling, I want you to ask, how is this serving me? Right? There's always a reason that we're absorbing something. It could be just, you know, I want to ease their burden, or I want to understand them more, or maybe it's your own feeling, right? Oh, this fear that I'm feeling is a warning sign. Whatever it is, it's a judgment-free question, but just ask, how is this feeling serving me? And then you want to ask the same question, if this belongs to another person. If you think you're absorbing somebody else's stuff, ask, how is me feeling this for them? How is that serving them? Now, this can get into a little bit more of the esoteric realm, but in general, we tend to find that if someone has sort of denied or repressed some of their own feelings that are out in that emotional field, it actually works out great for them if they don't have to feel the difficult thing, and so you're feeling it for them. Right? It's not healthy. It's a little bit dysfunctional, but that's the type of pattern I'm trying to get at with this question. How is me feeling this for them serving them? Right? Maybe they don't have to deal with the discomfort. Maybe they don't have to take action, whatever. Then the next question flips that. How is me feeling this not serving me? And how is it not serving them? Right? So let's stick with the example, other person is really upset about something, but they don't want to deal with it. It's out there. And so now you're kind of feeling it on their behalf. So how it's serving them for you to feel that might be, they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to take action. They don't have to feel uncomfortable because I'm feeling uncomfortable for them. How is that not serving you? Well, you feel really, you're dealing with a lot that isn't yours. It is uncomfortable, and maybe it's really, it's not your problem. It's not your deal. It's nothing you can really control. How is it not serving them? Well, at the end of the day, it's sort of not giving them the accountability, not giving them the agency and the ownership over, their own course with this feeling that they've chosen to deny, repress, or avoid. Okay. Again, this can go in a lot of different directions, but those are sort of 4 alterations on that same question. So how is me serving it how is me feeling it serving me? How is me feeling it serving them? How is me feeling it not serving me? And how is me feeling it not serving them? So hopefully that makes sense. And you can, make a little table with quadrants if that helps. Shifting into our last couple questions here, zooming out a little bit, you want to ask, what am I learning from this? Like from this experience as a whole? There's always a lesson. There's always some sort of insight. It may not be exciting or something that you want to be learning, but there's always some insight there. So make sure that you glean that. Just inquire gently what that might be. And then the last step is to release it. So if you've identified that this does not belong to you, this is somebody else's deal, you can simply set an intention to very gently give it back to the other person. This is all internal. This is all intuitive. It's silent. It doesn't involve the other person ever knowing that you're doing this. You don't need to have a conversation with them about it. If you did, it would probably backfire. That's probably why they've, pushed their stuff onto you unconsciously in the first place. But just gently set that intention. You can visualize sort of pushing it out of your energetic field, out of your space, if that helps. Some people envision these as like cords between you and the other person. You can gently sort of release that cord and return to sender. None of this is punitive. None of this is, breaking down the whole relationship between you and the other person. You probably care a lot about this other person. That's why this dynamic is happening in the first place. So we're not rejecting them. We're not cutting them off. It's simply saying this little piece doesn't belong to me. It actually belongs to you. Here you go. Okay. If you've identified that this thing does, belong to you, and you feel like you've gleaned the lesson and you're ready to move forward, you don't need to keep, ruminating on this thing anymore. You can do sort of a similar release process, except rather than returning to sender, because you're the sender, what you can do is visualize sort of grounding yourself and letting that energy kind of flow out of you down through your feet back into the earth, knowing that it will be sort of metaphorically composted and taken care of and recycled for good. Other people like visualizing smoke. So sort of breathing out that thing that you're done with, that thing that's not serving you anymore. You can picture that as, on an exhale, sort of smoke leaving your body and just dissipating in a non-toxic, non-dangerous way out into the ether. And you do several cycles of breath with that. So there's lots of different ways you can kind of mix and match and choose your own, see what feels good. It might change situation to situation, but the most important thing is that intention setting of letting it go. Okay, I've got what I needed from this, and I'm going to release it, whether it's return to sender or just back out into the world. Either way, it's totally safe. You're not harming anybody. And it actually does make a profound difference in our nervous system, in our biochemistry, to do that sort of visualization and release process. So those are the steps. Just to recap, what am I feeling right now? Where am I feeling it? When did I start feeling it? Whose is it? What is this really about? How is me feeling this serving me and them? How is me feeling that's not serving me and not serving them if it belongs to another person? What am I learning from this? And then finally release it, return to sender or out some other way. The more you repeat this, the more you are training your brain and your body to be a more discerning consumer of emotional and energetic information. This does not mean that you will lose your ability to read people or to empathize with them. It does mean that you'll get to focus and hone in that superpower and that gift on the right moments that are safe, that are appropriate, and where it's mutually constructive for you to be sort of opening up that empathetic channel with another person. Really, we're teaching ourselves to operate like the semi-permeable membrane cell wall of a cell. Just like every cell in our bodies and all the plants and all the animals, right? Those cell walls selectively let in the good and useful nutrients, in our case, the good and useful energetic and emotional information. And they firmly block out the things that would be toxic or damaging. That's the part that we've been missing until now, right? We want to be able to block out and let go of the things that are not constructive for us. Zooming out a little even further, this is a very small seed that you plant that will ultimately over time help you start to create a sense of stability, safety, and moderation in yourself. That's how we learn that we can trust ourselves with that selectively permeable membrane to build healthy, nourishing relationships, to let in the good, and to fend off the counterproductive ones that are not going to align with our health, with our healing, with our goals for our lives. Okay? So it's a very, very simple process, but the power is in repetition, and your brain will start to naturally extrapolate and learn trust in you, in this process, in your ability to really protect and defend yourself over time. So good luck, give it a try, and let me know if you run into any questions. Take care.